8 artists in this show. Okay, shall I start now? Okay, welcome to the Artist Talk. Unfortunately, we have 14 participants in this show, but 6 people couldn't make it with many reasons. 8 people are here. Fortunately, those people are sitting now all at once, so that after each of them finish talking, you stay until the end of it. Then you can go home, because today was not the day ending of the show. We changed to extend the show longer. Thank you very much for coming over and to listen to the artist talk. So, as you know, the show is about the international show, 2D and 3D and video. One artist extended more than 1 medium. So those who are here, you are familiar with this show. I'm talking to those who are not here, but I don't have to spend too much time talking about this short nature. With its concept, I don't have to talk either. I will try to make it short for this session. So 8 people would talk, and then later we can exchange questions and answers. Okay, thank you very much. I want to show my appreciation to you all who came, and also AJ, who is a sound engineer, and Ted Stroba, who is a videologist, and Chris Ivan, he is here, coordinator of the program, and my dearest friend sitting at the table, and she is Jemina Reyes. So, did I say everybody? Yeah, that's okay, so we go one by one.
To the class for ceramic when I start doing my ceramic and glass pieces. It was this. I am very happy about what I'm doing in this medium that is helping to be more progressive in my art career.
By the way, I'm going to disturb you. Because those pieces are 4 pieces in the center, the metal and ceramics and then glass. So 2-dimensional pieces on the wall and 3-dimensional sculpture on the pedestal. And you can see a wonderful shadow on pieces casting shadow. That is also another dimension. Congratulations, interesting pieces that you choose to exhibit. Okay.
Thank you. Also, I work with a lot of recycled materials. What I love to mostly the business called South Beach is with a lot of recycled metal work. That sometimes when I made that piece at the student league, when some artists they throw things out in the market, so I collected the pieces and I introduced to my sculpture. Sometimes when I go to the unique space and I see something on the street, like a metal, I pick it up and I give it a new life into my sculpture.
So did you hear clearly? Okay. Thank you, Ricardo. And he's from Colombia. Okay. Next one is a Greg Geffner. He is a local artist. He is a sculptor. And he is also a textile designer, I have to point out. His piece is on the wall, very colorful textile. And the interesting thing about his piece, those squares can be changed according to your design. He happened to leave those compositions as is, but depending upon whoever wants to change the location of the square.
Right. So yeah, basically it is, why should the artist have the final say-so in a work of art? So essentially what you can do is if you own a particular piece, then you can rearrange it into any configuration you want. I started doing these things by taking paintings that were in major museums in New York City, translating them into Velcro panels. I did an abstract geometric painting by Ed Reinhardt, made each color field into a Velcro panel so that you could then assemble it into the Ed Reinhardt and then rearrange it completely into whatever you would like an exploded Ed Reinhardt kind of thing. In fact, even Mrs. Reinhardt gave me a call a few years after I made this piece and accused me of plagiarizing her husband's work. And I tried to explain to her that we all make art influenced and on the shoulders of the previous generations that came before us. But so anyway, we ended up agreeing to disagree about that particular piece. She wanted me to take it off the internet and whatever. So, but anyway, so that Velcro piece is basically 2-dimensional squares that you can rearrange into whatever shape you want. And then fitting in with the show, Hugo's theme for the show, I also then teamed it up with a 3D element of that using cubes. Taking a plaster mold of a cube and pouring slip into it, letting it set up while it was still incredibly malleable, and then squishing and twisting them into whatever shape arose out of the malleability, the liquidity of the clay, and would dictate the final piece. So it was dependent upon happenstance of how it all sort of came together. And then glaze on top of that kind of thing. And then whatever piece did turn out well, I would then make a mold of that piece. And then what I could do is, once I cast the new piece, I could then rearrange that so it would be kind of like a theme and variation. And then try new glaze combinations and whatever. So, it's interesting that when you first approached me about the show, the theme hadn't quite taken place yet. And then later on, like maybe a month or so before it was going up, she honed the theme of the show into 2D, 3D, and it just so happened that it seemed the 2D square versus the 3D cube kind of really illustrated Yuko's theme on this. And it all, for me, I was a bit skeptical in the beginning, but then it all seemed to work together well, just by the quirk of fates, I guess, or whatever, and Yuko's expertise in curating. So.
Hello? Yeah. It's a wonderful combination. And then next to that textile piece is yours. So how did you make those three-dimensional pieces meant to be on the pedestal, but we put them on the wall so that we can see all the pieces there, and we have 5 more here. So please explain, how did you make the materials as well?
Well, the material is, I ultimately started with a mold of a cube, maybe, I don't know, about 15 by 15 by 15 inches. Pour liquid clay into that, let it sit for about an hour, pour it out, and then I'd have a cube inside the mold. I'd take the cube out while it was still wet, and then let gravity and my manipulation and just the forces of the wind take its influence upon it. And some of the pieces would come together in literally 30 seconds, others I have to work on for 3 or 4 days. So it kind of had a mind of its own. And, but it's like both of these, the Velcro loop panels, 2D and 3D, it's kind of about the phenomenology, the phenomenon of the medium itself. The 3D clay pieces are about the clay and all its inherent laws of cohesion and everything else, and as well as the Velcro loop. I mean, it's about the material itself, and taking these items and manipulating them in such a way where they previously hadn't existed in nature that way before. So for me, the uniqueness of an object is really important to me, and making things that have never existed in the universe before, taking materials, throwing them together in such a way that creates something new that hasn't existed before.
Okay. So, very organic against the geometrical pieces. Textile is geometrical forms. And then the other one is very organic, a very interesting contrast. Of course, materials are different. So he lives a few blocks away from us. So he was the one introduced me, a wonderful Spanish artist. His name is Via. She's going to talk about her pieces. So she created those pieces, sculptures, and then gold leaf, major work. I honor her, coming from Spain. She created everything when she arrived here within 2 months. Remarkable woman. She will talk about her work. But I wanted to thank you very much for introducing Ria. instead. He goes to the trash and finds something usable because he is a metal artist. He created all the metal shapes out of trash, whatever he found, and then cut metal pieces, patched together to make compositions. And he also likes to work with cement, ceramics, and then glass. So look what he does, different medium to make his pieces on the board. Okay, I just have the extra explanation about his pieces. Okay, the next one is Oksana Barnik. Yeah.
Hello, guys. Firstly, I would like to say thank you, Yoko, for this great show and inviting me to show my pieces. It was really great opportunity for me. Thank you, everybody, for coming this hot day and staying with us, to listen about our art and interested in our art also. So, at this shop, I'm Oksana Kovalchuk, mixed media visual artist, and at this show I have 9 pieces on the right. So, 1 mixed media collage, 2 paintings with collage elements, and 6 pieces 3-dimensional glass collages. I have some notes for me. So, basically I work with team of transformation and adaptation to big changes and challenges that happen to people's life and what they have to learn, how they can adapt to some situation and what happened to them. I was born in Kazakhstan, and I have been living in Russia, spent some time in UK. Before I came here, I lived for quite a long time in Moscow, and since 2015 I'm living here in New York. When I came here, I decided to focus my career to art, and I was graduated from the School of Visual Arts in 2019, and decided to work on collages because it's like my own life, layers of everything. I have been changing like a lot of countries, languages, cultures, had to learn everything, and basically begin all my life at the from the start, all the time when I moved to different country and learned from everything from the beginning. And now I'm doing like these things with my kids because they have to be educated in a different in different country, and I'm learning everything with them from the beginning. So all my life, all my family, and that changes influence my art. As I said, I am focusing on collages because I really love to include a lot of layers into my artwork, and love to include different kind of paper, different kind of elements. And also, before I focus on art career, I finished psychology. And I learned psychology, and I'm still fascinated in psychology, and also I include some psychology elements, components into my art. So, talking about collages, I work with a range of materials, and some of them like really common, like paper, different kind of printed materials, which I add to my collages. And also I have some artwork, and I work with glass, and I use glass as layers for my artwork, put some elements, some components, details like I draw, I paint on glass, and then I combine the sheets of glass and make them kind of a three-dimensional artwork. So some also I always work like mostly in series. So one of these series is presented in this show. This is Flashes of Consciousness, and those boxes with glass collages inside. And as I said, I love to add my psychology background and components from this into my pieces. So this work, what I created, is about flow of random thoughts and how focus on some things, which is sometimes difficult, sometimes easy, but basically how a lot of things going around, and it's possible only focus on one thing. Also, I included two pieces from another series, Roots, paintings with glass or with collage elements. And this is a really huge series, and I'm working on it now, and it's going to be a solo show in a museum in Texas in the fall, in September. And it's a big theme about immigration, dismissing lost parents, lost roots. And I dedicated the series to the war, like Ukraine and Russia, which happened right now, and continue like forever. And I can't stay away from this team because like I have relatives from both sides. So I decided to create this series also. So like basically that's it.
Thank you very much. Little comment. So she is from Russia. As you know, I've been to Russia, 4 states, 4 countries. Amazingly, they are well trained. As you know, the dance, Bolshoi Ballet, very famous Russian ballet company. They are amazingly well disciplined people or students. So I can see immediately she can draw 1, 2, 3 with no program. Unfortunately, in America, academic study has been behind. They jumped into abstraction, which is much easier, or maybe not, but training to do drawings, how to make shade, three-dimensionality, human figures. That is a hard training. I have done it, but youngsters tend to jump into abstraction. That is a tendency. So I see Roxana, we can see drawings, excellent drawings, can be abstracted, made into collage. And real drawings, paintings are here, small ones. So she combined to make three-dimensionality. First collage, take photograph, and put behind the glass, made into three-dimensional, right? So excellent combination of 2D and 3D. Thank you very much for participating. Okay. Next one is Shao Safran, and she has been among salon members for a long time. We've known each other for long, so you can hear a wonderful explanation about her pieces. One, we have to move that gray piece sitting on the floor. The other one is a copper paintings on the wall. Okay, Shao, please.
So, Yuko was kind enough to give us some suggestions to talk about. And the first 2 questions I've been answering for 20 years that I've been with the WA Center. So I'd rather answer question number 3. But for those of you who are new to the WA Center, I'm just going to tell you that those works are on copper and they're done with chemistry. There isn't any art supplies used, it's all done with chemistry. Okay, so the third question is, after working two-dimensionally for all these years, so I started this in 2004, how come I started doing the sculpture? So that's I wrote it down, the answer to that question. Because I use chemicals and sometimes torches, I don't work inside my home. What has been problematic for me in the past is that since I live in New York, working in an unheated garage when the weather gets cold, I've purchased heaters, but since I leave the garage door up and the windows open for safety's sake, the heater is of little use. I've purchased Under Armour to wear, but as I age, it isn't enough. So I started creating art in the winter that I can make in the basement instead of the stuff I was producing in the garage. Actually, an idea which I hadn't been able to figure out for years and has been ruminating in my head since my husband Marty's passing was finally taking shape. When Marty was quite sick, he told me that he had a dream. Okay, now he didn't share his dreams with me, which those of you who have partners most probably think that very strange. I'm sure you share your dreams. Marty was a very fact-based person. He wasn't a person who read fiction, facts only. He did trigonometry every day of his life. So when he wanted to share his dream, I was very inspired and I wanted to know about this dream. And he told me, he said his dream, he was looking at my artwork, but he had never seen this artwork before, and that it was very interesting, and that he really felt affected by it. I asked him to describe it, and he found that difficult to do. He said it had dimensionality, and that it was protruding out from a substrate. I asked him what it was made of, and he didn't know. He said it was organic, but not representational. For years, his dream has been floating in my head because it didn't represent anything I was doing at the time. For years, his dream has been quoted to me. In 2020, while quarantined due to COVID-19 pandemic, I had time to contemplate what it meant to live in a society that increasingly demands vigilance. How will we respond to such challenges? What are the psychological effects of living in a world that feels so threatening? Tenebrous, that's that. Okay. Tenebrous was completed in 2020, and it was my way of dealing. My sister says it's scary, dark, and threatening. By the way, tenebrous means dark, murky, and hard to understand. I can't say that I was thinking of that when I was creating it, although the 2020 World event surely had its part in its creation. It can be seen as a new beginning of events, maybe a creation somewhere else, not on Earth. This sculpture is composed of 96 interconnected organic forms with detailed varied gray textures. The substrate is a 5-foot hemisphere with a rocky terrain composed of gravel, sand, mortar, and wood. The individual pieces are polymers I form and then dress in paper. The decision to place the sculpture on a horizontal surface rather than hang it on the wall was made to allow the viewer the ability to see all the interesting details, many of which would otherwise be missed. Most important to me is that a sculpture holds the viewer's attention from every vantage point. Each conjoined individual piece, I had to do the same. Even the individual pieces should be interesting from every vantage point. As the viewers approach the sculpture, they take in the whole, then circulate around the ecosystem in pursuit of new discoveries, hopefully getting lost within. In mid-2022, when the James Webb Telescope released those fantastic images, I was awestruck, and began creating other remote ecosystem sculptures that are totally different than this one. This is the only one that's monochrome. Each a different area on the many thousands of planets seen by the James Webb Telescope, but not yet explored. I have now completed 6 remote ecosystem sculptures. If I had the facility to create these ecosystems so that you were surrounded by them instead of you going around them, you would hopefully feel transported to another place. And I just wanted to mention that the plastics that I create, or the ones I get from a company called BioPack, are plant-based plastics, okay? I'm very into preserving the earth.
I would like to mention that so those are the found objects. I'm trying to save the Mother Nature because you grab everything out of garbage. You created them. So that is what our center is trying to make people realize, because population is increasing, yet Mother Nature's materials has been decreasing. So how do we make a balance between overpopulated world? It's going to be more so than ever before, even though many people are dying, unfortunately. But the materials Mother Nature created, they are very precious things. So even piece of paper, I tell everybody, please say, water, if you go to a restaurant, they give you a big glass of water. I said, please give me a small portion. So it takes one to make effort trying to save this universe. Only one planet we have. There's so many stars over there, and many wealthy people heading out to space after USA stopped outer space trip, remember? Then so many, how many, I forgot, are heading out to space. So they are trying to see if there is a water available. That's most important thing for us to live is a water. So we never know what is awaiting for us. AI generation is ahead of us too. There are many things is happening for scientists trying to save the big world. So I appreciate and people who are making art, sculpture, everything, trying to save the materials from the Mother Nature. Okay, thank you. The next person is Glenn Goodenough. And Glenn, are you ready to talk about it?
Try to say something. I don't have any idea.
Close.
So I'm from New York, Long Island. I enjoy photography and sculpture work. I've always been drawn to sculpture, so it informs my photography. It's not just a photograph I came upon, an image I came upon. A photograph, they're actually what I call photo illustrations. And in particular, I call these virtual sculpture. There are actually several elements to create this form. It's a still life. I like to ruminate on the ambiguities that are normally in an image and try and tweak them and enhance them and work them to my interests. This, I guess, it applies to my sculpture work also. I developed a motif of this back and forth, and I try to bring it into the various forms. And the piece on the right here is actually your left is actually one of the few representational kinds of pieces. This is supposed to be a bonsai plant, but done in a similar motif. As Zuko has shown interest in. I do like to repurpose materials and such, and actually I brought in the elements that went to go into those photographs. I'm interested in the transformation photography can do with rusted, cast-off debris, you might say. This doesn't look like much, it looks like a tiny little thing. But it's reproduced 4 times in the lower image. And again, this one, again, it's just a piece of metal, scraps, and I arranged it in such and photographed it in various positions to create this sculptural form. I also took the opportunity to address matters of focus. So this one has a very enhanced depth of field, or rather lack of, a very shallow depth of field to create this space. Oh. It's very tiny, I can't hold it. So I can't imagine anyone can see this from far away.
Did you take a shot? Good. Oh, no, okay, thank you.
So otherwise, I rely on the sensibility, universal sensibilities of tonality, detail, and composition for the photo illustrations.
Please explain to this metal sculpture.
Very good. Okay. So I brought another visual here. So early on, I think I wanted to introduce organic qualities. You could try and render all you like, but it's your own work, you might say. I wanted to introduce an element of chaos, randomness, to create an organic quality. So I figured out early on that by taking a piece of material and cutting it at an arbitrary angle and flipping it, naturally you get a miter of sorts, but you can never really anticipate exactly which way it's going to go. So it introduces an element of chaos. And I've kind of gone with it, as it were. And it's become a motif of mine. And repetition is a common trope for artwork. Employ that for this piece.
It is really amazing though. You mentioned you did it randomly, but when you look at from every angle, all different shapes, and unfortunately this pedestal does not rotate. It would be interesting, maybe next show, I'd like to have electrically rotating pieces so that you can see. This is not the right position either, because sculpture should be viewed all around it, just like Shaw mentioned. Now I see when you told me about the photograph, how you created those 2 pieces. I didn't know. I wanted to ask you, how did you do it? You explained to me, but it didn't really, register in my mind.
Visual is helpful.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that you brought and explained to us, and also show the amazing work that you created. He has been a long time Barcelona member, just like Shaw, and he has been wonderful, great installation person. He installed pieces 1, 2, 3, the same as Jamina. She is my assistant, and then the newly appointed coordinator, and so his name is Chris Evans. He is also wonderful. So I really appreciate how great helpers we have and great artists. We are getting to be fairly known. So when we had a jury show, and many people said, you have to make an appointment 6 months and to ask him to come to jury. But I always aim at number 1. Number 1 to me is the MoMA, Museum Modern Art. I called her, she answered, we are going to have an exhibition next week. I'll be there, don't worry. I was surprised, I never met her. His name is Kovacev. And so she came. So she said, your organization is very well known. Oh, really? If you are insider, you don't know what outsiders are judging. I never paid attention how they judge about the World Center. I know we have pretty good programs, which I always enjoy to see the growth. One show after another, they come up with challenge, and I always like new people or old people challenging to me, and I'm never disappointed with anybody. So it's nice to know that MoMA's curators, your organization is very known, everybody knows. Oh, I said, you must know. I said, no. So she came, she gave award for 3 times during the lockdown period. So that's the story. Okay, next one. So thank you. Next one is Tyron Howell, and he can tell you his piece is there. His piece is also video. Okay, Tyron.
Okay. Hello everyone, and so I'm Tyron Hao, and I'm from China. And firstly, I would like to say thank you, Yuko, for giving me this opportunity, to have the first artist talk in my art career, and also for this opportunity to show the works with all of other great artists and works. I'm a new media artist, and I usually work with technological mediums like recently AI 3D printings, and also computer-based softwares and 3D renderings, and most importantly, I work with interactive installation a lot, but due to the scale is quite large, so I wasn't able to show some of the interactive piece here. But actually those 2 pieces are actually made of same process. They're both 3D modeled, but one is being 3D printed, and another one is being rendered in an animation. And so maybe I'll give a little background. So when I first studied art, I used to do paintings and clay and ceramics works. And then I moved to the US, and where I had my school in California, I had the opportunities to talk with lots of people from different fields, especially technology and science. So where I have the opportunity to learn how can art and technology can be intersect to create new forms and even modality of works. So I would say the sculpture on the right is actually a milestone of my art journey, because that was made during the COVID, where everyone was isolated in home, so I had more time to practice on my own with all of the softwares. So I 3D modeled a lot of elements from video games and from everyday life, and merging them together into one piece. But as I realized, it wasn't a deliberate decision. Well, I decided to print it out because I realized the composition and the aesthetic, and also it looks interesting. So I want to try how does it look like if I bring this piece from virtual to the real. So I mentioned this is something that's transformative, because during that piece I learned a lot of technological skills, and there are also lots of challenges for me to do the digital fabrication and print it out eventually and present to all of you as it is right now. So but for today, lots of as I keep growing as an artist, I'm still like using the technology as a medium, like to do works of more social, political, and cultural works that speak to the a broader audience and to a wider range. So the animation back there, it was inspired from last year, the nuclear water dumping issue in Fukushima, and I was trying to use the surreal and real elements to build a narrative, like to reveal the challenges that's facing by like both individual and also the authorities. And so yeah, I feel like the art has the power to like provoke thoughts and also I think I guess in like one sentence that art is to me like art is what it's not what I'm seeing, it's about like what I want to make others see it. So yeah, so that's basically my premise and my works today.
Okay. Thank you very much, Myron. It's just so that animation is so, it is very frightening, even though it is a surrealistic piece and hinting at the future when we have flooded all over and then water is getting so dirty, the way I interpret it, if I am wrong, please tell me. And so there's nothing to drink, even that cafe is over-flooded, and she is trying to drink, but she couldn't drink, and she poured all over on her face. And that man looking up and chasing with clean water with blue balloon, lifting clean water, but he could not capture. And the fisherman on the boat tried to fish, but nothing is available. All the fish are dead. So he casted, but nothing he brought. So, and what about those, about 10 men on the swimming, trying to jump? The same men, aren't they? They are all the same person. And jump, but different way to jump into the ocean or water. But I assume they could not survive. So that notion, or the way I interpret it, is something predictable and something which is happening to some part of the world. And you are hinting, well, this will be happening in the future. It might be happening. Watch out. It's a global warning that causes this problem, as you know. Lockdown was caused by all human behaviors, misbehaviors, mistreating the mother nature, materials, overuse. Everything is overused. Don't think about the future. I was very impressed by Al Gore's speech in 1987 when Bill Clinton was the president. Al Gore was the vice president. He was the one who said, global warning, you have to be very, very far ahead thinkers trying to say, but global warning happened during industrialization, 1856, when industry in America or Europe started using coals and all crude oils. And that's why the entire world air quality got worse and worse. That's the very beginning. Imagine more than 150 years ago, scientists predicted it. So here we are buying big, what shall I say, penalty or what we are experiencing. We never know what future will hold. But scientists are working so hard. They are heading out to space and trying to find, as I said, what they can do. Those are the wealthy people, they can do it. But common people, very difficult to survive. But luckily, we are here to enjoy 4 seasons a year. It's not true in New York. Some other part, it's freezing. One Scottish man came last Saturday. Oh, it's so hot here, but in Scotland it is freezing. I said, my goodness, at this temperature 98 degrees here, but Scotland, my parents are freezing. So that is what, upside down world is happening. When you think about that reality, it's very scary. Okay, so next one, thank you. Thank you very much, Tyron. Okay. Next one is a dear woman, Jeannie. She was the one who introduced my Greg Geffner as a guest, and here she is having big award. I honor her to give her entire award. Thank you.
Well, my work is probably based on playing with time and space, like many of us do also. And because space for us is limited, I do many 2D work because you can sketch and I was sketching on paper and these papers get lost and scribbles, so I found this old technique that I used in Malaga from in the retablos in the churches with the gilding and the egg temper on top, all natural materials, and they scratch the egg temper off the gilding, and even though the gilding is like very slow technique, this estofado technique lets us really sketch on a gilded piece, so it's not a slow thinking technique, and it's very nice to sketch on, and then you have a thing that ages well, that has you can enjoy the colors, the pigments, the material of it. Then I think, well, that's like with the space and the time. Well, with the time, I choose my medium to be stone because stone is like a big mass of time, and to me it's like you have this big mass of time. You can go back to the Ice Age or before that, or millions of years the stone is built on or from, and then you can like meditate on what we are now, what will be the stone in 10,000 years, and really there's not much to do today with that. The reason of a stone being sculpted and this beautiful mass of millions of years being interacted with is to communicate through very, very big periods of time. And well, that's what I do, or try to, and because this stone is many times being polychromed, so colored, I was wondering what kind of color would be nice enough for such a beautiful, noble material. And so I found the gold, that is also mineral, and there are systems for gilding stone in exterior. And that's why I discovered all these gilding techniques, thinking about the polychroming the stone, because right now we are in a period where expression has like transformed into the impact, and now all these colors and impacts are like becoming in this time. So like I'm trying to figure out the stone's behavior today. Okay. Well, that is actually my first this rebirth is the only one I can do now. I did this like 10 years ago when I first came here. And it's my first piece that I gilded, or I tried gilding, and I realized, oh, this is more complicated. So then I learned actually the gilding techniques in Malaga, where it's traditional. And now I've done the rest with like knowing a bit more. And this sculpture was actually from the bedrock of Manhattan. It was a tunnel extraction when they were building this road, this highway under Manhattan. They were extracting all this schist. And what was really attractive to me, that the stone or the rock in which Manhattan is built on is has very clearly like a really strong genius loci, like the spirit of this space that reflects today entirely, like all the glittering is full of mica or mica that shines exactly like the glittering of the city today. So it's really interesting how such an old material can be present in the landscape today of what is the city.
Interesting thing about that piece, that is the New York City's stone, but you took advantage of the different, you can see the different colors, different, you cut and show two different particular stones, and as age, the stone changes, because of the pressure and because of the geological deformations. So you took advantage very nicely, showing two different colors. One is dark gray, the other one is light brown. And then some stones have a sparkling glass. You capture that one as well.
Yes, and it also changed size, because when I found this stone, it was actually smaller than now. Because many times when you're looking for monumental proportions, even if it's not a monumental sculpture, I am always looking for these monumental proportions. And many times, when you find them, like taking away maybe 10 or even 20% of the mass of the rock away makes it bigger visually, and it makes it grow. It's very, very amazing.
Thank you very much. She's from Spain. Next one is from Thai. Yupin, could you please make her space? She's at the edge, cannot see. So, Yupin from the people. It's very difficult to pronounce. And she is from Thailand. And she is the one who created those two sculptures standing here. Another one on the pine coins, pine needles. She could explain to you. Okay, thank you.
My name is Yupin Bravo People. I come from Thailand. Thank you, Yuko, for inviting me to be in this special exhibition. As Yuko said, I have 2D and 3D in this exhibition. I have 2 drawings on the wall, and 2 figurative sculptures, and 1 pine cone installation. My pine cone installation is created for a show here with the theme was togetherness and oneness. So the piece called Together as One. All the pine cones are surrounding side by side as a grouping, and it suits the theme. So the taller figure, before molding, I thought about the theme, and I felt the arm position looked contained within, and I added the base with the skull-like to present a symbol of message, and I call the piece containing peace. The smaller sculpture are not planned out to be a single sculpture. Also, I saw both belong to each other and wrapped them with muslin cloth to connect them together. I'm going to answer Yuko's guideline. So, I don't have answer what inspired me to start making art. Perhaps it's unconscious, with unknown instinct, that I kept wanting to try something related to art. Growing up, I do remember I enjoyed art classes, but never encountered art mentors, teachers, nor art advisor to guide me or tell me if I'm talented and I should pursue art career and become an artist. Now, having been doing it, being in nature is one of my inspirations for me to create work. With the world we live in, so many unequal treatments, unsettling issues, it affirms my thought for what theme I would like my work to say. I don't really have a particular medium to express my art because my art continues to evolve and explore new possibilities. However, I do have some mediums that I prefer and feel very comfortable to work with. Drawing with pencil, ballpoint pen, painting with soft pastel, which feels similar to drawing to me, and I enjoy stone carving very much. When I started study at the Art Students League, due to the visa process, I needed to change my major every 4 years. As a result, I had the chance to learn different mediums, and I'm glad for that policy, which enabled me to learn more skills. When I use new mediums, I have doubt how to work. For example, when I started my plaster recycle repurposed pieces, I wasn't sure how to get started. With try and error, it happened. Similarly to using seaweeds on the beach to draw images which will be washed away with the high tide. I gradually used materials that I found and repurposed to create work and avoiding buying new materials to save the environment. Although I'm not an environmental activist to address the climate change and global warming. Using found or reused objects is my way of indirectly addressing the issue. You may have, yes, I do use material from Mother Nature for my art. You can see the piece in this show with the pine cones and pine needles. I will definitely continue to use material I'm currently using, such as the pine cones and pine needles, or found materials when I come up with the idea. Similar to my outdoor in nature setting, when materials and the site is suitable, with the immediate thought, I will definitely create something within the context. Okay. So it would be very nice to get recognition as as an artist, wounded, but expressing my thoughts and sharing my theme of love, peace, and as basic and small foundation of society as family is meaningful to me. And if the viewers enjoy and appreciate my work, I have succeeded with what I want from creating art. So for me, art is a vehicle to share the experience, thoughts, ideas, to the beauty of visual image with the community and the artwork, like all of us. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, everybody. So 8 people out of 14. So it's good that we have shared one table, 8 chairs, and then finished all at once instead of divided into 2. And the people who arrived, participants who arrived here much earlier, patiently waited, and thank you very much. As I said, this show is going to extend it. I will tell you until when. So you don't have to wait to pick up the pieces today. 5 to 7 was supposed to be a pickup hours, but now we finished. But there is some questions being raised. Are there some questions to ask participants? Usually we have many questions.
Too hot for questions.
Are there some questions? Some people, some participants mentioned about how to save Mother Nature, and that seems to be a critical issue, which means artists were able to use anything before, but we are limited now, knowing the fact. And so, yet wonderful things came out of by using materials thrown into the garbage. So there is a famous saying, one's garbage is another person's treasure. That's what it is. They made everything, not all of them, wonderful pieces by saving the material that they found. So those who are not here, I'd like to briefly explain to you. Behind me is the 2 wooden sculptors pieces, men and women, whose name is Bali Statura, and he has to go to hell. There's another show coming up, so he regret he could not participate in this talk. But 3-dimensional artists, the same artist created 2 paintings behind the videologist, 2 paintings of skill, abstract. So there are some questions arrived when I was sitting here, and some guests. How come one artist, one is a human figure, why didn't he draw human figures on the paper or paintings or painting? Well, that is a question we have to ask the artist, and he can tell you. But just because one artist extended to another dimension doesn't mean that they are restricted to follow the same theme. So this is free. Artists have a liberty to express themselves. There's no such a thing to limit unless there's a theme. When I put open chord, we are looking for so-and-so artist who can do Mother Nature, who can do 2D, 3D, combined on video. So then you are limited to express yourself within that theme. But wonderful things about we artists have a liberty to So there's no limitation just because you are a sculptor. You can use metal, glass, and ceramics. And if you are an Russian artist or someone who is capable to draw anything, that's the way in Russian country trained, and then made into collage, and when collage utilizes glass carpet, that's the imagination, creativity expands beyond what normal people think of. So everybody here is very extremely talented people. I am so thankful for your participation to make this beautiful show. And for that reason, some audience, we have a steady number of people coming in Saturday and Sunday. And occasionally I get tour to explain, but they don't know what this show is all about. So when I explain to them, they are quite amazed. How could this be? I mean, this woman, and within 2 months she created this. How? The artists are quite unique human beings. Even though we are suffering lockdown period, even though there is a death in your family or friends, still they write, they create, they never stop creating. That is the difference from people, general people and artists. They are transfixed, obsessed, they cannot stop. Energy pouring all over from you. And when you finish one piece, you're thinking for the next. I know I have been a painter, I have been an artist. By the time I finish halfway thinking about it. So it doesn't matter, 12 o'clock I came out and pajamas stop painting. So one is crazy indeed. So that's why we are who you are. Crazy people, I love them. Don't you think so? We need crazy, obsessed, different people. They are not different, they are ordinary human beings or extraordinary human beings. And they happen to be very talented, amazingly talented people came to share the beautiful thought, beautiful ideas. And so, are there some questions? Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. Chris? Yeah.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank you all. This is a very recent job for me, getting to come to this gallery and be around this all day. It's such a joy. So you guys have made my job very fun and exciting. I also get to see the guests, which I don't know how often you get to. I'm sure at exhibitions and you get to speak to the guests, and I get to see their excitement or intrigue when they're curious about a piece, and it's really nice to me. But I just want you to know that you brought a lot of joy to the people in this community of New York. I think it's a very special thing. So, I do have a question. I was wondering, this is really for everybody. I know it's obviously dependent on the piece, but I'm curious about the creative process. And do you often have a vision and then you execute it, or is there experimentation involved? Is there trial and error? And I'm just curious about it. I'm not an artist myself. I'm very much in awe of you. So I just, if you have something to share.
Did you hear? Did everybody hear okay? I wanted to give him a microphone, but I guess everybody heard.
Ladies first. No? Were you able to hear? I can repeat if you like it.
Oh, you spoke very well.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Such a good time. Thank you.
Well, I'm just curious about the creative process.
Use the microphone, please.
Yeah.
I think put it very simply, in my case anyway. Thank you. I just want to try these materials, methods, and wheels are always turning. Why don't I try this? And very often making a piece of sculpture is a means to that end. And that's why sometimes it's difficult to make a copy. Because when I make the original, I've satisfied my curiosity, and then I'm on to the next, quirky little subtlety for most people, but I want to see how things work. And, of course, there's a lot of disasters and mistakes. So that's how I work. But I think everybody works. I might also point out that an artist very often restricted or works on their restrictions. They can only work so big, or they can only use a certain material. So they well, what can this material do? What can I do? I only have 2 days. That's my limitation. So very often, for me anyway, I work with parameters that are imposed on a particular material, or time, or skill level, or budget. But I would argue that the other artists have similar but overlapping but very different sensibilities and motivations. Would you like to try?
I have this conflict with design and crafting a designed piece because I work with stone and work with a very old material, so like I'm born, maybe I'll live I don't know how many years, but I'm very insignificant next to the stone's life. So when you design something and you make it go on a stone, just like it's like breaking it, then you can't really, you're not listening to the stone, you're not listening to the time, you're not listening to the millions of years. So for me, it's like a totally different creative process with stone, because you have to be humble enough to listen to the stone and let that interact with you and the tool. And between you, the stone, and the tool, there can be a dialogue maximum. Well, that's me.
So in other words, real materials speak to you. You listen to what it is saying. That's precisely the attitude artists does. If you are creating stone sculpture, you listen to. We need to listen to anybody's talk, by the way. I'm talking now, I'm sure people listening. Listening means to understand, try to understand, to be together with that person in the thought. Oftentimes, instead of listening, talking too much. Talking too much is fine if there's a listener, but one doesn't have a time to listen. That's not true either. But if you go to a restaurant, it's so noisy, we cannot talk decently. We only talk and laugh, and that's about it. So this is a wonderful moment. We are listening, and we are seeing, hearing. Well, hearing is not very too attentive. Listening is a better word. So, as you said, you listen to how stones speak to you. Then you start thinking of what shape you're going to carve. And listening means so much as an artist. Yeah, okay. Thank you for listening.
So thank you for your comment. And so for me, I feel like the creative process sometimes more intuitive, and sometimes it's like improvise. It can be from anything around us in the world, and it can be like a piece of the news, from newspapers. Yeah, but I do definitely agree. There's if there's a parameters being imposed, things might be different. But because of my practice, like usually I use like computers and 3D printers, so like 3D models, I would usually like create just directly from what I have in my head, like an image or a thought, like yeah. So I think that's the process for me. And thank you for the questions.
I have a question, Fabian, that blue sculptures, so how did you form that particular shape? Have you tried some other pieces, apply the same plastic materials, screen, liquid? Yeah.
So that piece was, in the beginning, is being modeled by different parts, and I assembled them together and then painted with spray painting. So the color itself, I guess I would say is something that's I just feel like it, so I chose that color. But for the shape and the composition is just experiment of what is generated in the computer.
Amazing color and shiny. I haven't seen, maybe not too many people have seen that particular purplish blue sculpture standing. Have you seen anything like that? Striking. Maybe only in China. Is it common? Or
Yes, that was from China, and there's a series of the similar works are also from China.
Amazing.
So I think what it comes down to is it's on a seminal basis, nature.
Microphone, please. I cannot hear. Thank you.
On a seminal idea, the expression that nature abhors a vacuum. And I think all of us just want to fill an empty space within our own vocabulary of what, how we look at things, what it means to us or whatever. And that's what we use to fill that vacuum, fill that empty space kind of thing. And then everything else that everyone else is talking about stems from there within their own personal creative process.
Yuki, would you like to say something? Please use it. Yeah.
Hello? Okay, I just wanted to say we have a limited time on Earth, and I personally would rather spend that time creating.
I'm not sure what to say. Sana?
I usually have like a lot of thoughts before I start to work on a new project or a new art piece. So I read a lot, I write a lot, and most of the time I have some strong vision before I start something, and I create a lot of sketches and use a lot of technical stuff like Photoshop, or do my collages in digital way for the beginning, like creates a new space, a new piece. But it's not always happen in real life. Sometimes I need to change something. Sometimes I don't like colors. Sometimes I don't like shapes and also. And I work on my glass pieces. There are like sometimes 25 layers of glass, and some ideas doesn't work what I have at the beginning. So it's always like sometimes you have something in mind and it happen, not happen. But for me also, when I think about something, it happened in my mind, and sometimes it's boring to create it in real life because it already happened. So I have done it. And yeah, some pieces are still in my mind. So this is my creative process.
the studio, drawing alone. Some artists like to drawing, but I don't draw. Everything's coming to my mind, depends on the mood, and mostly play with the pieces, the shape, or if I have an idea, so I just plug into the piece of ceramic and to experiment and be happy and enjoy the materials and the time to create.
I have a question, Ricardo. So I know you deal with ceramics and then glass. So after you made a round shape in the center, first you make ring and square. The center has a round shape. So you knew that you wanted to create ceramics in the center from the day one. How?
First thing I do the ceramic. With the ceramic, that piece can be a standard. First thing I do the ceramic, and I like the ceramic very much. I can put it in different shapes. It can be on the wall and also in pedestal. It's not have to be on the wall. And sometimes the piece is broken, so I have to change the idea how to incorporate my piece into the sculpture.
Wonderful mixture of those three materials and plus shadow, that is great too.
And this is all the glass is all everything is recycled glass. Like I will have the party, I take the bottles to the studio, and I break it and incorporate into my work. I don't buy glass, or I try not to buy any. I only buy the flat that's on the frame, but mostly it's recycled materials.
Wonderful, nice, beautiful creations. I'd like to mention to you briefly about those who are not here. At the corner, 2 silk screen prints and then 3 two-dimensional small pieces. And the artist's name is Masaaki Sato, Japanese artist. So one is a subway, as you can see, full of holes, that is a silk print. Another one is magazine stands we used to have in subway. He is a wonderful painter, big paintings he produces, but those are the silk screen. So those silk screen, he came up the idea to make 3-dimensional pieces. He makes small photograph out of print or painting, and then he cuts into small pieces, and then built up as a 3-dimensional pieces. So 2-dimensional silk screen, 2 3-dimensional, shall I say, not necessarily sculptures, but artworks and glued together to make the 3-dimensionality. The next one is a George Mustard sculpture, and big George Washington's statue, and you can see the money is American symbols. Look at $1 bills pasted up, and then inside of his mouth is a small video. Her name is Sprina, and Sprina is a woman's name, but capable to make very big sculptures. She has a political statement, and she was not so big before, but she started expressing political statement, how important it is. So she also did video right here, and she goes to the river or ocean, gather all the plastic she found, and some fish swallowed. They are dying, or they they are dead, she cut the stomach of fish and pull out all plastics. You can see this much of she found and made artworks. That is a statement. So fish or living creatures are dying because we human beings throw plastic mindlessly. And she's saying, watch out. She made a beautiful video presentation. But that's what we do. What we have to be more aware of our behaviors. We have to live side by side with nature, wood, trees, animals, even in the sea. Coral is dying, fish is dying. So many things are disappearing from the earth. So that is Serina's work. The one which is hanging on the window is a Colombian artist, Eloa Pereira. She cannot be here because she lives in Arizona. So she was actively pursuing architectural business, but the economy in Brazil got to be so bad, and politically all sorts of bad news came up, so she has to escape. The children, young children, will learn something horrible. So she came to the United States. She lives in Arizona. She realized all sorts of newspapers stuff in her mailbox. So she started collecting very colorful news, not only newspapers and magazines. So she said she didn't have money. She is no longer an architect. And so what can I do? My creativity goes crazy without doing something. So she started using old papers, folding, reading, making sculpture, making on the wall. So one is called childhood memory. She was thinking how it was back then, when the economy was good, people were very happy. But I wonder if you remember, Brazil was the first country they started using corns for fuel. Do you remember? Do you know someone? The corn is to feed human beings, also animals, but the government, Brazilian government started using corns to make clean air instead of oil, gasoline. So human beings became starving to death, you can imagine. So that's the way government, one thing, they did a wonderful thing to clean the air, but another thing, and kill human beings or starve to death. So that's the time she said, this is not a healthy country, she has to go. So she came to this country. So wonderful creativity you can see. She used papers, and she used magazines to roll and then weave, made her wonderful artworks. Another one who is not here, Drew Maynard, the big fish over there, and he is using pen and ink. Oil painting, if you make a mistake, you can put another color to erase it. But the ink is the same as watercolor painting. If you put the ink, you cannot erase it. But he is so capable to use very, very thin pen and then drew this big fish which is no longer existing. It's a very primitive fish. He told me about that fish. But remarkably, one by one, he used pen and ink, created big drawings. Down below is a two pieces. Again, he used pen and ink and color, and then weave to make figures you can see from far distance. On the 5 pieces on the pedestal is a name of the, what's the name of that color? chicken. We used to make, there's a name for it. What they call Yes. So he created 5 pieces, and his theme is a vampire, or all sorts of comics that he used to enjoy reading. So comic or science fiction. But when you open the pieces which are folding now, there's an amazing flat pieces. We are not showing this. So, as I said, his name is Drew Maynard, American. And I mentioned to you Darius Gatura and then 2 walnut statues. He's American. He painted those 2 paintings on the wall. The next 2 on the wall is a Japanese artist, Natsuki Takauji. And things on the wall is the small pieces of Japanese sweet. Japanese cakes are another expression of artistic talent. It takes a long time to make that kind of sweet. So one on the right is perfect sweet, one the yellow one is also, third one also is sweet. When you open the sweet, it has the azuki beans or beans. Sometimes it's rice cakes. Third one is, red one is halfway, couldn't succeed making beautiful cake. And the fourth one is a crush. She is trying to make it in a traditional way. She repeats and repeats many times. She failed. So she gave up. She found and gave up. That's a shape on the left side. So she is also an interesting 3D artist here with a black still life. It is a fountain. Maybe it stopped. Yes, and she went to have a fountain on the black telescope, and then 2 silver fountain. Not I shouldn't say. So she was trying to make a water fountain, but water is very light, splashes all over. So she decided to use crude oil, which is much dense. So when we turn on, electrically run, and then beautiful black oil comes down in the central piece, and then gradually going down to fill up the pool. Unfortunately, something happened. Crude oil splashed all over the other day, and today that happened again. I talked to the artist what to do. She said, put it back again. We did. Yesterday, no problem. The day before. So here goes. So that is the conclusion, isn't it? We finished. Do you have something to say from the audience? Some question? No? Did you enjoy? Yes. So artist talk is something that we usually look at the artworks, artist work, but hidden behind the surface. And so we get to know a little bit more about artworks. We get to know the artist's mind and heart. And something we exchange through language, because visual art is not the same as literature. So we do value the time that you share with us, and then coming over to listen to this special artist talk. Unfortunately, we have many people fill up this space, but maybe July 4th is having people already leaving. Okay, have a wonderful holiday. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
I like the way camera
Go downstairs and get into some air.
These are mirrored, obviously. I'll mention that. Great for next thing, please. Recreation.
Yes.
Another common
Device. There's so many rich tones and here as well. It really is luminous.
So this is back here, a reflection in the mirror. So that's basically across the room. And that's all, even the sharpness reads all the way to the back. We're all stick together.
That all works beautifully. That's something that you evolve and it's just figure out how to
Yeah, it's interesting. I find talking about the art very difficult, but I realize I've been doing this so long. Finally, I think, oh, well, I just did this. And yeah, it's, like I'm saying, this is a new technique. I have a number of virtual sculpture. That's still like, and I work large as well.
And then how did you come about that you started out with
Found this work, yeah. In fact, funny thing, when I set up this still life situations, I didn't know what to say that. And I was stuck. Just throw anything in there, and I realized you can't do that. Yeah, and then I came across these things, and this actually stuff.
There's something like the other times there was almost horrific. Discovered them
That's okay.
Actually, a lot of work actually makes some beginnings. Yeah, really, yeah. I mean, it's something or repetition, but
How's everything else? You feel comfortable? Like you did.